Okay, so let's get through the next phase of writing a reading response, and that is producing a summary of an article. So we're going to look at an excerpt from a text that we looked over in the webinar for the class so far. This is an excerpt from Nassim Taleb's Skin in the Game. This is just a short passage. It's taken from a much longer chapter from a much longer book, so it's not particularly detailed, but it should give us a good sense of the process that we should go through when we're trying to work on this sort of summarizing. So whenever I summarize a work, I like to try to figure out as I'm reading what is each sentence or section trying to do. What sort of work is it putting forward? So let me show you what I mean. So the first sentence here, say you had a choice between two surgeons of similar rank in the same department in some hospital. Already, right away, I can tell that this is not a part of the passage that's making a clear claim. This is an introduction. This is an introduction to an anecdote. And the question is, what is it trying to explain? What is it seeking to show? What lesson should I take from it? This anecdote continues right up until about here. Okay. So we can analyze a little bit what's the purpose of this anecdote. What's he trying to get across? He's saying to imagine you're in this situation. You have a choice of two surgeons. You have the one who looks like a surgeon and the one who does not. The one who looks like he is a butcher. And he says very clearly here, if I had to pick, I would overcome my sucker proneness and take the butcher any minute. And he goes through a little bit more detail here. Just a bit more intensifying. That's what's happening here. Reiterating his point. And it's in this next passage that he actually makes his argument and explains what that anecdote is supposed to illustrate. One of the ways that I can tell this is because he uses this word, why. Right? He's asking the implicit question that we, the reader, have. Why would you make that choice? What are we supposed to learn from this? And then he tells us exactly what he thinks this story is supposed to illustrate. He says, simply, the one who doesn't look the part, conditional of having made a sort of successful career in his profession, had to have much to overcome in terms of perception. And if we are lucky enough to have people who do not look the part, it is thanks to the presence of skin in the game, the contact with reality that filters out incompetence, as reality is blind to look. This is where he really makes his main point. So this is a really important quote, and something that I'm probably going to copy and paste when I'm working on my summary, just so I can refer back to it later. Okay, and I'll just put a temporary quotation here, just so I know that it's where it's coming from. Okay, so this seems like it's the main purpose of this extract, right? That there's something about people who don't look the part, people who don't present themselves in the way that they are supposed to, that tells us something. What it tells us is that this person must be able to generate real results. They're not able to get by on their appearance. They've only been able to make it to this particular station or position in life by virtue of their ability to actually make things happen, to have real positive effects in the world. This final paragraph is where he provides some explanation of that, so we understand a little bit more of exactly what he means. He says, when the results come from dealing directly with reality, rather than through the agency of commentators, image matters less, even if it correlates to skills. This seems like another really important point, another main point explanation of first one. Right? So he's saying, why does it matter that someone makes contact with reality? Why does it matter that this person has what Taleb calls skin in the game? Because they're able to produce results directly. They're not relying on some sort of mediation. It's not the commentators, the people who adjudicate image, who are letting you know. Then there's more explanation. But image matters quite a bit. So this is answering the question, when does image matter? It matters in situations of hierarchy, not when individuals can directly produce results. Okay. Then he says here, he's giving an example. Consider the chief executive officers of corporations. They not just look the part, but even look the same. When you hear them talk, they all talk the same, etc., etc. So this is an example of a situation where hierarchy rather than skin in the game prevails. The case of CEOs. But that's their jobs. As I keep reminding the reader, counter to a common belief, executives are different from entrepreneurs and are supposed to look like actors. Okay. So this is the main point. The main point here is that there's something valuable about those who are able to achieve results directly rather than through some sort of performance. There's something in Taleb's view that is more valuable about people who are able to accomplish things through their own merits without needing someone else to mediate and provide judgment of them on your behalf. So Taleb's central argument in Skin in the Game is that we should value highly those individuals who are able to achieve great things and rise to high positions as a result of their ability to directly modify reality in some measurable way. Taleb suggests that we should distinguish between those who have what he calls skin in the game, that is, people who make meaningful changes in the world, who succeed or fail as a result of their own merits, and those rise to prominence in hierarchical systems. These latter individuals can rise because of their image rather than their talent. Because of their image, their ability to perform a role. Yeah, let's just say because of their image rather than their talent. That seems like a pretty good summary, actually. So let's leave it there. This doesn't capture everything that's going on in the passage, but it doesn't have to. It just needs to take out the central elements. So some things in Taleb's point are missing. Like, I don't mention at all anything about the doctor, because that's not really what's important. The story about the surgeons and whether we should make the choice, that's just to illustrate his deeper point. His deeper point is that we should care less about appearance, we should care more about reality. We should value those who have skin in the game, who directly affect the world in a measurable, objective way, as opposed to valuing those whose value comes only from the fact that they are able to present a good image that commentators and other people within a hierarchical system tell us are valuable. That's the central claim of this passage, and that's what we should work with when we're doing our reading response. We're going to build off of this element.